It didn't happen during a highlight play or after a thunderous dunk. The most dramatic moment of the Golden State Warriors offseason arrived without any noise. No shots, no assists, just a blunt, piercing statement from journalist Mark J. Spears, spoken with the confidence of someone well-informed. He wants out. That phrase echoed. The subject is Jonathan Kuminga. His desired destination? The Sacramento Kings. Yes, you heard that correctly. The 22-year-old forward, chosen 7th overall in the 2021 NBA Draft, wants to leave Golden State and head up Interstate 80 to Northern California. This isn't a quiet exit or a subtle trade request behind closed doors. Kuminga addressed it directly in a Zoom call with Kings general manager Scott Perry, assistant B.J. Armstrong, and coach Doug Christie. Though it was virtual, the message was clear. He's ready to move on, ready for a fresh start. This revelation stunned the Bay Area. Kuminga isn't just another player. He represents untapped potential, an athlete who always seemed on the verge of breaking through. In Steve Kerr's tightly controlled system, that potential never fully bloomed. And maybe that's why he wants to leave. He knows Golden State doesn't offer the room to make mistakes, to learn through experience, or to grow naturally. The Warriors are still defined by their championship legacy. But Kuminga doesn't want to be another forgotten name in that historic run. He wants to be part of something new. He wants to lead the future. Sacramento can offer that. They have a starting spot available, a more flexible tactical approach, and a young team built around developing talent. There's space to grow next to Keegan Murray and Domantas Sabonis. The Kings already made a move, offering a conditional first-round pick in a sign-and-trade since they can't sign him outright due to salary cap limitations. But the Warriors are holding out for an unprotected pick. That's where the negotiation has stalled. To understand how Kuminga reached this point, we need to look back. Born in Goma, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, he's a rare mix of talent and resilience. As a teenager, he left his home country, joined the G League Ignite, and entered the NBA as one of the most exciting prospects in his class. Explosive and athletic, with a lightning-quick first step and infectious energy, he turned heads. But his game also had flaws. His decision-making and long-range shooting needed work. Last season, he averaged 15.3 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 2.2 assists in 47 games. That's a strong improvement for someone once seen as a long-term project. Still, despite the numbers, he never had a guaranteed spot in the rotation. One impressive game didn't ensure minutes in the next. For a young player trying to prove himself, that inconsistency can be exhausting. The stats reflect growth. Behind the scenes, however, there was growing frustration. His relationship with Coach Kerr reportedly broke down over time. Sources close to the team say Kerr didn't trust Kuminga in key moments. He preferred veterans with better tactical understanding, even if they lacked Kuminga's athleticism. This was most apparent during the playoffs. Kuminga often remained on the bench, while more experienced players were brought in. To calm the situation, the front office offered him a 2-year $45 million deal. He turned it down. Kuminga didn't want another gamble. He wanted commitment. The deal included a team option in the second year and no trade protection. In other words, the team could move him at any moment. For someone craving stability, that felt more like a warning than an opportunity. That's where Sacramento enters the picture. Not long ago, the Kings were one of the league's bottom feeders, but recently they've taken bold steps forward. They sent De'Aaron Fox to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team trade and acquired Zach LaVine from the Chicago Bulls. With Sabonis anchoring the paint and Keegan Murray growing into a key piece, the Kings are building something unique. They want a roster that combines youth, athleticism, and explosiveness. Kuminga fits perfectly into that vision. He's the kind of player who can change a game's tempo with one play. And perhaps more importantly, he can grow alongside this emerging core. During the Zoom meeting, Kuminga didn't just listen, he spoke his mind. He shared his frustrations, listened to the team's goals, and saw a vision that made sense. In Sacramento, he would have a defined role. He'd have the freedom to attack on offense, face fewer defensive pressures early on, and be allowed to develop without constant pressure. For a young player, that kind of patience and support is invaluable. Even though the Warriors still see value in him, they don't view him the same way Sacramento does. And it's not just about money, it's about belief. It's about plans. It's about trust. That's why he turned down the extension. That's why he's determined to leave. Now, the situation is a matter of strategy. How far are the Kings willing to go? A conditional pick might not be enough. An unprotected pick is a gamble, especially if the season doesn't go as planned. That uncertainty is what makes this potential trade so interesting. The Kings must weigh the risk of giving up a valuable pick. The Warriors must decide whether to let go of their top young prospect for an uncertain return. And in the middle of it all, Kuminga waits. He trains, stays in touch with his agent, and watches everything unfold. He likely feels a mix of nerves and relief, knowing change is coming. If the trade goes through, it would symbolize the end of Golden State's failed transition plan. They tried to build the next generation while maintaining their dynasty. They drafted James Wiseman, brought in Moses Moody, and extended Jordan Poole. But none became the clear successor to Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, or Draymond Green. If Kuminga leaves now, it confirms that plan didn't work, and it also signals that the championship window is closing fast. Meanwhile, Sacramento is moving in the opposite direction. After years of struggle, they've built a strong foundation. Kuminga might be the missing piece that completes their puzzle. Picture a Kings vs. Warriors game next season. Kuminga steps onto the court, facing his former team. He throws down a powerful dunk over Andrew Wiggins, maybe cracking a slight smile. That image, that tension, that storyline, it's what makes the NBA more than just basketball. It becomes theater. It's about characters, rivalries, and turning points. So now the question is, what would you do? If you were Kuminga, would you stay another season in a system that doesn't fully believe in you? Or would you take a leap into the unknown with Sacramento? If you were Golden State's front office, would you trade him now and try to get the best deal? Or would you hold on, hoping he changes his mind? And if you're the Kings, how much would you give up for a player who's already shown flashes of greatness? Let us know what you think in the comments. This channel thrives on your perspective. If you enjoyed this deep dive into a story filled with ambition, emotion, and behind-the-scenes decisions, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. When this trade happens, and it likely will, you'll want to know every detail. And we'll be here to break it all down. See you next time.